Before we start, did you know that you can subscribe to this channel for absolutely free? Well, sure, you might say, it was always free to subscribe to a channel on YouTube. That's nothing new. True, but free just sounds so good, doesn't it? We tend to associate the word free with something positive, and this positive association can easily be equated with my prompt to subscribe to this channel. The usage of a certain negative or positive expression to influence a person in their decisions and opinions is called framing in psychology. You can find it almost anywhere where language is used. Just as the word framing suggests, humans, and especially those with a professional background in marketing or politics, tend to put a certain frame on the idea they want to convey. Information gets put into a frame, or more precisely, a certain frame of interpretation. The manipulation lies not in changing the information itself, but in changing on how the information is displayed. If I, for example, now were to use the word flower in a sentence, you would have a cluster of associations coupled to the word. It could be the words beautiful, peace, nice smell, colorful, thorns, or just ain't nobody been giving me flowers in a long time. Everything that gets associated with the word flower forms the frame, which can then be used to transport other information that gets coupled with it in a new way. This, of course, gets shamelessly exploited by the mass media. In advertisement, we usually tend to hear that something is 80% fat-free. They could, theoretically, communicate that something is 20% fat, but fat usually is negatively associated. For most people, emotionally at least, something that is marketed as fat-free is perceived as better, or in other words, as healthier than something that is marketed as high-fat. Framing is also used to direct public opinion on certain issues. For political purposes, members of political parties attempt to frame issues in a way that makes a solution favoring their own political leaning appear as the most appropriate course of action. During the weeks leading up to the June 2016 Brexit referendum, the British public was faced with a barrage of messages regarding whether the United Kingdom should leave the European Union. Arguments for maintaining EU membership centered on the risk of leaving, risks of national economy, personal finances, safety and security, healthcare, and individual rights. This point of view was encapsulated in campaign brochure taglines such as "Leaving Europe would be a leap in the dark." Let's do the same that we did in the beginning with the word flower. What do people usually associate with the word dark? Fear, uncertainty, something depressing, grim, and feeling lost. All quite negative associations. By combining the word dark with the act of leaving the EU, people should immediately conclude that leaving the EU, at least that is what we should believe when it comes to the writers of such brochures, is a bad decision and would lead to a highly negative future for Britain. Facts are not really needed to support a frame, because frames are not strongly connected with our rationality. One cannot actively prevent to think in frames, but letting frames guide your perception is quite easy. And herein lies a great danger. It is utterly easy to use the simple framing tactic to influence opinions and decisions. Just by changing one simple word in a speech, you can turn a problem into a challenge, an accident into a mishap, a death rate into a survival chance. This specific tactic of substituting words that seem to be too harsh with a milder variant is called using euphemisms. The opposite of euphemisms are dysphemisms, using harsher or even derogatory terms to describe a certain topic or person. This way, a disciplined person easily turns into a control freak. A person that endorses traditional values turns into a primitive, or an intelligent person turns into a nerd. Framing is everywhere, even in the smallest acts of our communication. The negatives aside, though, Frames help us to understand complex issues quicker and more easily. Framing is as old as language itself. Here's a fun fact. The framing effect seems to disappear or to be weaker when encountering it in a language you speak that is non-native to you. One explanation of this disappearance is that a non-native language provides greater cognitive and emotional distance than one's native language. It is also processed less automatically than a native language. This leads to more deliberation, which can affect decision-making, resulting in decisions that are more systematic and objective. There is something to an antidote when it comes to frames in your native tongue. Being aware that they exist, and when it comes to making important decisions, thinking about why somebody said something in the specific way they said it. But to never be manipulated through frames is impossible. Or should we say it's difficult? Or not that easy? It's a challenge, yeah. Subscribe to the channel for absolutely free. It's 100% risk-free and fat-free and all kinds of free. See ya!
Hit the city, fly, and evanescence climb, and scared of getting too high.